got to start on the Gold Coast Sunday evening. Not probably the result any of us wanted to see, but pretty impressive test all round. I know I thoroughly enjoyed the first 79 and a half minutes of it, if not the last 30 or so seconds. But Izzy, what were your thoughts on the game as a whole compared to the week before?
You got to take your hats off to South Africa. I think they played a great game of chess. You know, they set the All Blacks up perfectly in that first test. Obviously, did a lot more aerial kicking from Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard. You know, skin in the pocket every second phase. They were kicking everything. And then the second test, I spoke about it quite a few times on the airways. The only time South Africa had troubled myself and put us under a lot of pressure was when they brought that ability to switch from that kicking game straight into the woods, playing some rugby, playing on the edges, and catching the All Blacks out. Because once you play that kicking game, the wingers and the fullbacks, they drop back, and you probably put a lot more numbers back in the backfield. I think the All Blacks did that, expecting South Africa to kick more, and they didn't. So hats off to the South African coaching management, the players. I thought the biggest change for South Africa was actually the changes they made. But tactically, when they changed the front row, which goes against traditions when a new front row will come on at about the 60 mark and send it home, they actually brought them on at the 40-minute mark, which actually brought a lot of life to their set piece, which is a set piece that was already dominating the All Blacks. The All Blacks were pretty poor at the scrum. Line out, they couldn't win too much ball. They were able to pressure the opposition line out a little bit, but our own ball wasn't good enough. So they put us under a lot of pressure there. And I think when Elton Jantjies came on for South Africa, he's played with the Lions, Johannesburg Lions, and they were probably the first side to really showcase that South Africa can play rugby. 2017 in the Super Rugby, 2016 when they went 2 years straight to back-to-back finals. Didn't quite get there in the end, thank goodness. But their ability to actually play some exciting football and actually play ball in hand, I think Elton Jantjies was a big part of that. When he came on, he changed his game for South Africa. And, I just tap my hat off to them. They brought a total different game, and they caught the All Blacks out, surprised the All Blacks. And it was quite funny. John Plumtree, the week before, he said, no, we know what to expect now. We know what to expect now, which was quite funny when you know what a South African team brings. So him saying that, knowing what they're going to expect, the coaches would have heard that and said, okay, they're expecting us to kick here. Why don't we surprise them? And then Adi Savia afterwards, he just said, look, they were called out quite a few times on things they hadn't seen, and South Africa going into the edges. So, yeah, it was a close game. It was one of the cracking games, and you got to take your head off to All Blacks too. They stayed in that fight with the scraps that they were living off. They were able to score some amazing tries. I think Beauden Barrett's getting better and better as week goes on. I love it when he's attacking the line, getting offloads off. Rico Ioane, whether he's a centre or a wing, for me, he's a winger. I'd rather him on the wing and playing extremely well on the wing, just his ability to just finish. He's lightning quick. Anton just needs time at centre. He's coming back from a big layoff. So, look, the signs are there. I've been really impressed with the All Blacks. They're playing some good rugby. There's just little things that they need to touch up. The set piece with Sam Whitelock coming back, that'll just help out. It just showcases how important Sammy is. For Brodie Retallick to be able to operate, I think we need a Sammy Whitelock there, or we need someone to step up so we can take some pressure off Brodie, to let him roam, to let him get physical and play his type of game we're used to.
Yeah, sure. Some great insight there, particularly around the sort of impact I think Whitelock will make when he comes back, right? It probably goes underrated, just the effect he has on that forward pack. Did you have any other takeaways from the game yourself, Paul?
I think let's look at the positives first. The All Blacks retained the Bledisloe Cup, and the All Blacks won the Rugby Championship. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
If we look at that final test match, I think there's a couple of areas the All Blacks can have a look at. Their discipline. I think they gave away 14 or 15 penalties in that match, and they gave a couple of crucial ones away late in the game. And that ties in with their inability to lock down a game when they're ahead. They only needed to hold on to the ball for that last couple of minutes, tie it up, that's it, game over. So that's something for them to work on. I think some of the decisions that they made during the game as well, whether to take the shot at goal or kick for a line out and go and have a go. I've always been one for if I'm a neutral observer, I love teams to kick for the sideline and have a go, sort of thing. But I hope that they've got a wee bit of statistical analysis in the background that'll help guide them in future test matches, where it would say at this point of the game, when the score is this, it's best to take the shot at goal, or the better option is to go for the line out and try for the try. So, yeah, as Izzy said, set pieces, South Africa dominated there. The scrums, they were brilliant at scrum time, and they disrupted our line out quite a bit as well. So there's a few things to work on for the All Blacks. You got to give credit to Nia Naba and the South African coaching team as well. They tweaked their game plan, and it worked. Caught the All Blacks off guard slightly. But it was a great test match. The 101st test match between South Africa and the All Blacks. It was a brilliant test match. Both teams had sort of opportunities to win the game. In the end, it was the Springboks. But I think we could take enough out of that to say we're still on track for World Cup. And I think you say South Africa are also on track to defend their World Cup title. So I really enjoyed the game. And there's enough there for the All Blacks to work on. Of course, they'll be getting a few new recruits when they travel, take their squad to the Northern Hemisphere. I'm looking forward to it as well.
It's a funny one, Paul, with that last 5 minutes, because a lot of teams do it now. They play that tic-tac. They go in to slow the ball down, and actually the refs are looking for that. The refs are constant. They're not looking at the defensive team. They're looking at the opposition, the attacking team, sealing off that ball, going off their feet, and it's a crazy one. I know that it's always been a big part when I was playing to get into that tic-tac to try and kill the game, but now refs are looking for it. They're looking for opportunities to give the defensive team an ability to get the ball back. So what is the alternative? Are you saying don't stop playing? We don't play. We just keep playing. We keep playing attacking rugby, and if we're good enough to hold on to the ball for countless phases, then good thing. Or do we kick the ball down long, back our defense, and just give them an opportunity to attack? It's a funny one, eh? And that's the big point, because there was 5 minutes there that we were trying to kill the game. It was just too long.
Yeah, and I think that's another area where hopefully the All Blacks can have a look at the statistical analysis and go, this is the best option for us to take at this time of the game. And if it's to try and, because I agree with you, the referees are looking for any opportunity to award a penalty to the defending side.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it, I guess, more of a competition for the ball and possession. So obviously they're going to have to make the All Blacks are going to have to make a few sort of tweaks there in how they try to shut down a game. And maybe they're going to have to pop the ball two fades, go too wide instead of just one out all the time, just to get away from where the bulk of that defensive line is. But I agree with that. It's getting tougher for teams to actually lock the ball down, because, what was it, 5-10 years ago, if you had the ball in the last 5 minutes, it was very, very hard to get it off you. The referees weren't sort of adjudicating that way. They are leaning towards the defensive side now.
Yeah, for sure. I would almost think you put it down into the South African 22 in that last 5 minutes there, right? At least then they have to go 80 or 90 meters and try and work the ball out of their own half. But yeah, I mean, it's very easy to sit here and Monday morning quarterback it, right? But one thing I did want to ask you, Izzy, is you obviously played a lot of tests against the Springboks over the years. A lot of those tests, they were probably one of the two best sides in the world alongside the All Blacks. There were other tests where maybe they weren't the greatest Springbok vintage, but I saw you ranked New Zealand versus South Africa as the second greatest sporting rivalry on the radio earlier in the week. Is there just something different about, when you step onto the field against the Springboks as an All Black, it feels different to other tests?
It just feels different, and one of the big parts to that is South Africa as a country. When we've been able to travel there, it's such a hostile place. It's it's a beautiful country. Then they've got some beautiful people over there, but they're going through their own certain things in their lives over in South Africa. So I think it's just the whole build up to playing in South Africa, playing in Soweto. where people are doing it pretty tough, and then you play in a country with 95,000 Springbok fans just going absolutely ballistic, and you're playing at altitude, so as a player, you have to go to another level, and you can't train for it. Mentally, it's the most challenging game you could ever play. So for me, just going on personal, times that I've played the Springboks, it just ranks so high for me. I guess when you play them too, you just know what you're going to get. And it's physically the most demanding game. You saw South Africa on the weekend, like Sia Khaleesi. I think Luke Jacobson was over the ball and someone else, and he cleaned them both out by himself. So they are just physically on another level. They are big, they are strong, and they are powerful. So you're just always going to walk away from that game tired, battered and bruised. Even the fullbacks, fullbacks. That's probably the game. If you're a fullback, that's the game where you really know where you're at. Where you really know where you're at in your game. You're going to be tested hot with the high ball. You're going to be tested on the edges with Brian Habana running at you and quality wingers all over the show. So you know where you're at. Are you good enough to play at this level? Well, play South Africa and we'll soon see. So for me, it's just one of the great rivals. And I was lucky enough to play in many games. I think 2013, I think it was yesterday. It was on this day, 2013. There was a game in Johannesburg, Ellis Park. And it was just back and forward. Nigel Owens was the ref. He said that was probably one of his greatest games he's ever reffed. Just both sides playing attacking rugby, backwards and forwards. Kieran Reid scoring a try. Then John de Villiers scoring a try down the end. Willie LaRue getting a breakaway and just getting ankle tapped by Bowden Barrett in the corner. So just, one of the all-time great tests. So for me, it's right up there as probably the greatest rivalries.
Yeah, no, and it was great to see another edition of that on Saturday night. I was going to ask you, but you sort of touched on it there, what it must be like just going into a test against the Springboks, knowing you're going to have about 100 high balls heading your way over the next 80 minutes and just sort of mentally preparing for that. It must be pretty draining, right?
Like all week you're training for it. So you get 40 minutes post-training to do some work-ons, and you're doing 38 minutes on high ball, and Steve Henson's coming over and he's giving you a few tips. So you start looking at him going, are you sure, mate? You know what you're doing? So, look, it is mentally, you just got to be right on. And when you're a rugby player, when you're a competitor and an athlete, there's nothing better than testing yourself against the best in the world. And playing South Africa, we always knew when we were playing South Africa, if we could catch the high balls and we can nail that job, that's 80% of the game. That's 80% of the game getting us the result in the end. So a lot of it relied on the outside backs to do their job, which is unusual. You usually rely on the forwards. Yeah, set piece and the scrum was very important, but we knew 80% of the time that if we don't catch these balls, it's going to be a tough night for the All Blacks and we probably won't get the result. So a lot of pressure, but we embraced it.